Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to the Wealth Tech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. My guest for this episode was Era Jain, co-founder and CEO of AI meeting note taker and assistant Zeplyn. Before founding Zeplyn, Era was a senior software engineer at Google for over 6 years, where she worked on Google Speech, specifically research and development on contextual models to improve Google's speech-to-text technology. So right up her alley to start an AI note taker like Zeplyn. In this episode, we spoke about CRM integration and data capture, how important that is to note takers. We talked about compliance and regulatory considerations, which we've been writing about on our blog, behavior analytics, advisor coaching, of course, integration capabilities, and we couldn't stop without talking about industry trends in AI that Era is seeing coming down the pike. And speaking of AI trends, do you know your company's AI strategy? Do you even have one? If not, you're flying blind into a storm of changes coming for our industry. At Ezra Group, we help wealth management firms turn their AI chaos into competitive advantages. Our tech stack and AI strategy solutions are built specifically for advisory businesses, integrating custodial feeds, portfolio management systems, CRM, and AI tools into a single scalable source of truth. If you want to free your firm for exponential growth, you need to run, not walk to our website, ezragroup.com, and click the golden Contact Us button on the homepage. Whether you're building or evaluating your very first AI-powered solution or struggling with a bloated tech stack that's become a liability, the experienced team at Ezra Group will help you design, optimize, and future-proof your infrastructure. We know what works and what doesn't. Visit ezragroup.com to learn more and schedule a free consultation. And now, standard housekeeping tasks. Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Check out our sponsor, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation at investinothers.org. And if you are a software vendor in the wealth management space, please go to our vendor portal. You can find it at ezragroup.com/register, where you can register your product with our Wealth Tech Integration Score database. That way, your product will always have an up-to-date score, which is reviewed and used by the industry as the industry standard for integration capabilities. All right, now let's kick this thing off. All right, I'm excited to introduce my next guest. It's Era Jain, co-founder and CEO of Zeplyn. Era, welcome to the program.
Thanks for inviting me, Craig.
I'm glad we could coordinate our schedules in this very busy summer. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from New York City. That's where the Zeppelin headquarters are.
We are so close. I'm just over the river in New Jersey. We should do this in person next time.
Absolutely. By the way, I heard you bought a house. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I did. That's a big financial commitment, considering we're in the wealth management financial advisory space. So it's had to discuss with my advisor first, and it seemed like a good idea. So we've done that. Thanks for bringing that up. But if we could jump into the podcast. So if you could provide a 30-second elevator pitch for Zeplyn.
Yeah. So Zeppelin is an agentic AI assistant built for financial advisors. We leverage AI to streamline their client and prospect workflows with a mission to reduce the amount of time that advisors spend on manual tasks and admin work. Our flagship product, Meeting Assistant, that we launched last year, it streamlines the entire client meeting lifecycle and helps advisors save a lot of time doing meeting prep, note-taking, follow-up work, and updating data in CRMs and other systems. We also help advisors leverage the data that they have captured in these client interactions to drive more insights and inject this information into downstream workflows that helps them do better strategic practice management.
Yeah, I think that's going to start becoming huge for advisors, the injecting data into strategic workflows. But before we get to that, we had done a report a couple weeks ago called A Buyer's Guide for AI Note Takers and Assistants, and Zeplyn scored very highly in that report. Congratulations. So I want to talk a little bit about that and then some of the things you guys are working on and where you see the industry going. So one of the things we noted was that CRM integration is really table stakes now when it comes to AI assistants and note takers. Why is that, and do you see that changing at all and changing the way advisors are interacting with their systems?
Yeah, so if you take a step back, CRMs have always been, before the advent of AI assistants, CRMs have always been kind of like that tool, the front-end tool for advisors. They were treated as the place where they would keep all the client data coming in from communication channels, such as meetings, emails, etc. But they would also use CRMs to manage their tasks. That was kind of the I would say, the launch pad for any kind of task that's being executed for a client. The challenges with utilizing CRM to their fullest extent was that the data in CRM has largely been stale. When we started out Zeplyn 2 years ago, that was one of the big gaps we saw. That 60% of important data uh, about clients that is to be used in downstream workflows was being collected in meetings and conversations and phone calls. But because the process of collecting that information is manual, less than 25% of that information was making it into the CRM. So the natural first step, right, for any AI assistant that was solving for this issue was to, hey, we'll automate the data gathering piece in meetings and take this information and update it in the CRM because that's where the advisor is, taking care of their tasks and their workflows. And so that's why whenever we meet with a new client, it's more than likely that they have a CRM setup and they have a way of keeping their compliance records, updating their notes, and tracking their tasks. All they're looking for is this AI intelligence layer that can plug into the CRM really well and help drive this automation of pushing data from meetings into the CRM and then pulling all the data that they already have to build more intelligence. So if you're introducing a tool which is standalone and doesn't integrate with the CRM, you're not seamlessly integrating into an existing advisor workflow. And that creates a barrier for adoption, which is not a great thing to have for any new technology, right? So
Of
that's
course,
why.
we want adoption, but you mentioned 60% of data was coming through meetings, you found,
Mhm.
but less than
Mhm.
25% was making it into the CRM. So
Yes.
now firms that are using Zeppelin or other AI note-taking tools, that number must be going up to 100% of that data is now
Yes.
making it into the CRM. Is that changing the way RIAs are working with their clients now that more of the data is available to them in the CRM?
Absolutely. Meeting prep has improved significantly because now they have the information that to start prepping for their next review or next meeting, data that they didn't have in place. It's obviously a big benefit from a compliance standpoint, but more than that, it's easier for them to go back in time and look for tasks or recommendations, things like that that were discussed in meetings that were earlier not getting logged, but now they know that there is a record of everything that was discussed. That number has gone up significantly. We would still say there are, I would say, about in our client base, less than 1% of meetings where advisors are still not using AI. And that's primarily because it's the client's expectation that, that no AI be used in those meetings. But other than that, I would say that like more than 99% of meetings are actually getting documented in the CRM. So it's a huge bump in what that number was 2 years ago.
Indeed. And I bet one group of people are very happy about this, and that would be the compliance, right? Chief compliance officers are probably extremely happy that more of the meeting information is getting into the CRM. So they're benefiting, but there's obviously some other regulatory issues. Do you see what are the biggest risks you see with firms when they're deploying AI note takers?
So I think the number one challenge here or the risk here is inaccurate information. And if that makes it into the CRM and becomes a permanent record, you wouldn't want that to happen, right? And so with AI tools, it's very, very important that you have a human in the loop type of setup established in your firm. You wouldn't want to be in a position where you run the AI note taker it captures all the notes for you, and then it automatically transfers them to your system of record. There has to be a step where an advisor or somebody on the team is reviewing what was discussed for accuracy and then pushes that information, clicks the button that pushes that information into the final system of record. And that's how we've kind of built Zeplyn as well. And it's automating, I would say, 98% of the work, but it still requires that advisors review the very last step. And I don't think this human in the loop model is going to go away very, very soon, right? We're talking about agentic AI and all the proactivity that's going to get built up into advisor workflows, which is great because that's going to drive so much efficiency. But I would still advocate for the human in the loop model because there's some very sensitive tasks, such as updating compliance records or executing ACAT transfers that would require some human verification. Um, the SEC has also issued more like a recommendation. Obviously, there isn't any regulation yet, but the recommendation is that any AI generated content must be reviewed by a human. And so that's if that is something that's not being followed in a firm, I think that's a big risk. But yeah, like with proper guardrails in place, this can be easily mitigated.
Proper guardrails such as Zeppelin, where it's
Yes,
capturing everything, right?
absolutely. It's capturing and it's allowing the place for the advisor to go in and review everything before they
Mm,
click the push button. So
exactly, and that's the key is that it also organizes it in a fashion that makes it easy to review.
yes, absolutely. It's structured information laid out in a topic by topic fashion so that you remember each and every part of the conversation that you discuss and easy for you to quickly, add or remove things as you see fit.
And it also makes it easier so the advisor doesn't have to remember to write it down, remember to enter it into the CRM. For example, you're also, uh, Zeppelin is linking into multiple different systems. So it could link into Zoom, Teams, WebEx, Google Meet, direct phone calls, like the Twilio powered call a phone feature. So basically, any way that the advisor is interacting with clients, Zeppelin is going to catch that information.
That's absolutely right, right? Because advisors can be interacting with their clients across these different mediums. It could be an online meeting, it could be an in-person interaction, it could be a very ad hoc phone call. And so we have built Zeppelin to be an omni-channel capability from day one. Doesn't matter how and where you interact with your clients, that data will flow into our system and will get converted into very structured information that can be easily consumed by the advisor.
Are you seeing advisors that with the firms you're working with taking on more clients than they had before because they have the ability to automatically generate summaries, generate agendas? They're spending a lot less time prepping so they can then interact with more clients in a very organized fashion.
So I wouldn't have direct information on the number of clients, but I do have information on just like firm growth. A lot of customers who came on board about a year ago, we have seen them hiring more advisors, which means they are growing, right? They have
Mhm.
more business coming in, so that's a good sign. We did measure the amount of time savings that are happening across our client base. It comes down to about 10 to 12 hours per week, and this is just the beginning of AI automation, right? It's already saving them 10 to 12 hours per week. That's
Per
like
week per advisor, right?
per week per advisor. Yeah. So that's like 25 new clients per advisor. If you think
Mhm.
about it, it's 500 hours a year. That's like 25 ability to service 25 new clients. So it's a tremendous amount of saving. And this is just the beginning of AI, right? In advisor workflow. This is the
Mhm.
first workflow that's been streamlined. So that time savings has been phenomenal. And I do see that, with time in a year or so, we'll have more data that we'll be able to tie it back to growth and have more numbers that where we can talk about how it's
Mhm.
impacting the end client.
One other thing we noted in our buyer's guide, which anybody can find on our blog site, wealthtechtoday.com. You can get it for
Mhm,
free. The AI Note Takers Assistance Buyers Strategic Buyer's Guide.
mhm.
That the note takers, similar to Zeppelin, have really started to morph into more AI assistants.
Mhm.
Now, so do you believe that standalone note takers will survive, or are we headed towards what might be called a full AI operating system for RIAs?
I don't think that the what the advisor want or what the industry is looking for is a point solution. I think AI note taking was a very good starting point. It was basically um, you know a very easy to use tool, and also it was solving for a use case that's been so expensive for like for most advisory firms, right? Meaning note taking has been such an expensive affair, so much time is wasted. And so the adoption with AI note taking was phenomenal. It was a very, very useful tool for the advisors to just get used to AI. But what we're seeing now that it's been already been what 1.5 years of AI note taking adoption in the industry. The advisors are looking for more, right? A very good example of this is deeper integrations with their staff, right? Not just with their CRMs, but with their financial planning tools, with their portfolio management systems. Within Zeplyn, we provide advisors a way to prep for meetings. And the way we help them is that we leverage AI to generate agendas and prep material based on the historical data that they have about their clients in the CRM. And we do that very proactively. But now they are looking for something that's going to not just bring in the data from the CRM, but from documents from other systems where the client data live. And that makes it a much more um, uh, integrated experience, something that's no longer a point solution, but it's like integrating across their entire stack. And so I definitely think that's the future, right? Because at the end of the day, the problem that we're really trying to solve for is that, in this industry, client data has lived in silos across disparate systems. So we started with step one, where the data was incomplete in the first place, right? So we started with AI note taking help solve for that. Now we have good data that's coming in from meetings in the CRM. The next step is to really solve for the silo because you still have information spread out. And I think the next wave of AI assistance is going to solve for that and bring a more cohesive picture of a client to the advisor in one place so that they don't have to go to a meeting and open up 10 tabs and take printouts of
Mhm.
some 5 documents and spend a lot of time just doing that. So I think that's where we are headed, and that's going to be the next wave of AI tools within the space.
I think I agree with that. I really also think that some of the tools should be increasing client satisfaction because now advisors are always going to be prepared. Because I'm sure there's some advisors out there who maybe didn't prepare as well for their upcoming meetings. They forgot, they didn't get all the
Mhm.
data, or some firms maybe weren't as organized. I mean, we've worked with a lot of RIAs that when they're getting their client meeting prep, it's like a madhouse. They're running around, as you mentioned, printing out, doing presentation, pulling from PowerPoint, pulling from here, pulling from there, because different systems, task switching. Now, the AI assistants like Zeplyn can just pull that data from CRM, portfolio management, financial planning, Outlook, from email, from everywhere, and organize it, summarize it in a very clean and easy to read fashion. So every advisor will feel prepared and their clients will feel they're prepared, right? So I would expect to see a huge increase in client satisfaction.
Absolutely. And also, I would say it's not just limited to going into a meeting prepared, but it's also having the answers to like all the little things about your clients, right? All the questions or concerns that may have come up in the past. If you're managing assets for 30 or 40 different clients, it's impossible for you to remember each and every detail about them, right? But now you have all of this information available to you, and you have a search interface that even if that information is not present in the summary, that you could go to and ask the question and get that information within seconds. I think that's a very powerful tool to have, right? When you're in a meeting with a client, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship game. So the more you can show your clients that more you know about them, I think that just improves the client satisfaction rate. The other thing that we've actually already started seeing is, how with AI note taking, one of the things that we do in Zeppelin is that we also create follow-up emails, which are very personalized and they're created instantaneously right after the meeting is done. And the advisor is able to send that information to their clients right after the meeting. So now the clients have full transparency into what was discussed, what are the next steps, and what are the tasks that are pending on them. And they really appreciate it. They appreciate that fast turnaround time. So it's improvement in satisfaction. It's also improvement in task execution rate, because now they know exactly the documents that you're expecting from them, and there isn't going to be any delay in opening up that account, right? So that I think is definitely having effects on the end client, not just the advisor.
I would agree with that as well. One thing I liked about your product is the something called relationship checklist, where it would show a checklist of things that the firm wanted their advisors to make sure they covered as part of maybe an onboarding call or other meetings. So this, for example, you can say, well, just make sure you get their relationship status, their relationship complexity, their activity communication level. So it sort of pulls all that out automatically and makes sure each advisor is asking the questions that the firm wants them to ask. So how is that changing the way firms are operating, firms are managing when they have many, many advisors on staff?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that this capability in Zeplyn helps affirm is that at a firm level, the lead advisor or like the manager, like or a senior advisor, right, who's already has pretty standard workflows of operating, in these meetings. They know the set of questions that they must be asking in these meetings, and they know what works, right? What are the metrics that should be tracked for these clients? They can go and then define sort of what we call meeting best practices, right? So if you are in an onboarding meeting with a new client, this is the recommendation. These are like the 20 questions that you should ask. There should be a section where you talk about, relationship focused data. And it's very hard to train new advisors to like remember everything, right? Until you create that exact workflow and you make sure that they're actually asking those questions. So one way advisors are leveraging Zeplyn today is that they create this template within Zeplyn. You can create a standardized template, let's say for onboarding meetings, and then you can turn that on for every advisor. Now, every advisor, whether new or like still in training, they would have that as reference in front of them. So that would give them a reminder and the questions that they need to ask. And on top of that, those questionnaires will get automatically populated based on the discussion that they had with the client. So they don't even have to spend time after the meeting filling out that relationship checklist or that compliance checklist. All that data, it's already pre-populated. All they have to do is go in, review, and then sync it into their other systems. And I would want to add one really cool capability we launched in Zeplyn that further enhances this workflow is live reminders. So now you can, if you want to be reminded about a certain topic or a certain question in a meeting, you can set that up in your agenda beforehand when you're doing meeting prep. So in Zeplyn, you can leverage our agenda feature. You get an agenda which you can then edit, and you can add questions that you want to be reminded on. And then during the meeting, let's say 15 minutes or 20 minutes before the meeting is ended, if you have not brought up that question or that topic, Zeplyn can send you a nudge in your meeting live, reminding you, hey, these are the things that you need to talk about. And that, I think, is a very, very powerful training and
That's
coaching
cool.
tool.
How does it appear? Is it a pop-up? Is it a verbal warning? Is it an audio? Like, hey, man, don't forget this.
Yeah, so we're running a lot of experiments right now on collecting feedback, but right now it's a message. It's a personal message in your Zoom or Teams or WebEx. So this feature is only launched for video meetings right now. We're still trying to figure out the best way to do this for a phone call or for an in-person meeting, because it should be subtle enough that shouldn't distract the advisor, right? Because they're engaged in a conversation, but at the same time, something on the side that they can reference and leverage during their meetings.
So related to that, I want to talk about behavioral analytics and advisor coaching that I see as a huge opportunity for software like Zeplyn, in that you've got insights in your tool, so you can track number of meetings per day, meetings per advisor, task sign, usage by advisor, meeting outcomes. I'm sure you've added a lot more since I last saw the product. So if I'm running an RIA and I've got 5 advisors working for me, I can then see which ones are doing better or worse and then coach them up. That's software I usually had to buy separately to do that. Now it's going to be built in to the software I'm already using. So how is that going to change the way advisors are working and RIAs are growing?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So I'll give you an example, right? So one of the things that you can track in our practice intelligence dashboard is number of times an advisor is meeting a particular client in a certain period of time. So you can actually look at that data and then segment it for different client segments. You can see like the cadence of meetings across the different client segments. And let's say if the recommended cadence that your firm has for a very high touch client is 4 times or 6 times a year, and the advisors are not meeting them that many times, then you can use that information to nudge them or to coach them. And what we want to do in the future is also build some kind of notification where they get notified within Zeplyn that, hey, it's almost Q4 and you've only met this client 3 times. Maybe you should set up a meeting. Better yet, agentic system could actually schedule that meeting for them. So I feel like that's like having that insights in front of you over data aggregated across advisors really help you understand what is the secret sauce of your firm, right? Which advisors are doing well and why? What are the questions they are asking? How many times are they meeting with their client? And what does their task completion rate look like? Help to create those benchmarks. And then you can use that to train other advisors and sort of like create this playbook for any new advisor that joins your firm. But besides that, we have seen firms using it very creatively as well. So as an example, we have one partner firm. They like to basically they ask their advisors to ask for customer feedback in every review that they do. And then after the feedback, also they encourage them to ask for referrals. Now, their sort of goal as a firm is that they want to get to they want 75% of their meetings should have some kind of referral coming. That's the goal that they want to achieve. But they didn't have any way of tracking that information other than just asking the advisor, hey, did you ask for a referral? And how would an advisor remember, right? There's so many meetings, so many tasks in a day. But now they're tracking that with Zeplyn. So they create a custom meeting template for their client reviews, which is always tracking feedback and referral. And through our practice intelligence dashboard, we can actually show this information in an aggregated way across all meetings. So now you can see how many referrals you've had in a certain period of time, which is a very powerful use case.
Yeah, I see that as being a game changer, I think, for RIAs. It never had that before. It was either they just kind of felt it. They felt like certain advisors are better than others, but didn't really know which ones. And now that you can manage, you can almost micromanage across a very large firm, much easier. But I wanted to shift from that because we're running out of time. I want to talk about integration. And Zeplyn has great integrations. In fact, your integration score is one of the highest. I think it's in the top 10 in our entire database. You have an 8.39, definitely number 1 in the client meeting support category, which you are in. So can you talk about integrations and how why it's important to your firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I explained earlier, right, we want the adoption of this capability to be seamless. And for that to happen, Zeplyn needs to integrate really, really well in the advisor tech stack. Interoperability is really important. When we started out building these integrations with the different CRM systems and that are being used in the industry, what we found is that no two CRM setups look the same. So we deal with a lot of customers who are using Salesforce, and when it comes to Salesforce, you'll see different version of Salesforce in different firms, different custom setup.
Oh, sure.
And so we put a lot of emphasis on making sure that we provide that customized integration where wherever you're keeping your tasks, however you're keeping your notes, whatever other records you want to update after the meeting, they get mapped into a system properly during the onboarding phase, and then no matter how customized your setup is, your integration works seamlessly. And it's not just about pushing the data into the CRM, it's also about pulling that information. from CRM and from other systems, because as I mentioned, right, what we are building is a much more comprehensive meeting prep experience in Zeplyn. That's what we provide, and for that, we need the ability to be able to pull information from the systems with which Zeplyn integrate into one place. And so from day one, we've placed a lot of emphasis in making sure that these integrations work well. And it's not just limited to CRMs. We also integrate with systems like SharePoint and ShareFile, which are document management systems, because a lot of times advisors want to push out their notes into these document management systems rather than CRMs. And we're exploring right now in the process of building integrations with planning tools. And I think we already talked about the omni-channel capabilities, where it integrates across all the different meeting tools, as well as you can use it with native phone calls or VoIP phone systems, which makes it very easy for a firm, no matter how what their tech stack is, to integrate Zeplyn seamlessly into their system. So yeah, and I think that's going to be our focus for a very long time, because we want to make sure it's a seamless experience that they get.
We like that. Seamlessness is always better than non-seamlessness.
I want to add one more point. Can I?
No, you can't.
If we have
Stop.
Oh, okay.
I've got.
Okay.
I want to get to the other question I wanted to ask you, and you'll be happy I did.
Okay.
So, because the last thing we want to get to is, where do you see the industry going over the next 3 years?
Yeah. So I think that we are shifting from being in this, I'd say, reactive tooling to more proactive tooling. So until now, whatever capabilities advisors have seen, there is some action that's required on their part to make it happen. So just to give you an example, if you want to leverage AI to take notes for you, you will have to make sure that your note taker is turned on for your upcoming meetings. You want to make sure that you are doing meeting prep for that meeting, and you are telling Zeplyn that, hey Zeplyn, I have this upcoming meeting, please prepare prep for me. Now we're moving into a direction where these tools are becoming much more proactive, and because that's the expectation, right? Why, as an advisor, do I even have to tell my AI assistant that I need to do something? It should just know what I need to do, what I need to accomplish. And so that's the shift that's happening with agentic AI. You start your day and your AI assistant tells you that, hey, you have these 20 emails that you need to get back to. You have these 5 meetings that are upcoming in this month that you need to start prep for. These are your notes from the last 5 meetings that you still haven't reviewed, and you need to push them into CRM. These are the tasks that are pending. You might want to checking back on these tasks with your team, right? You have all of that information, not just in front of you, but you're also, just like an assistant, a human assistant in real life would do, you're also being presented that information and told, hey, I need your input on something. And then once you give your input, the agent can autonomously perform the task. You don't have to continuously provide input to it. It'll come back to you when it needs input. And so that's the major shift that's happening in general with AI across all industries, but more so, we're going to see a massive shift in wealth management, because we have such complex workflows and so much manual intervention that's needed, and that's going to be largely solved by these agentic systems. And we are already building out agents at Zeplyn, so we are very, very excited to be, one of the pioneers of this technology in this space.
And I'm excited to see what you guys come out with next, because it's been great so far. And Era, we are out of time. You did fantastic. Really, really good job. Big thumbs up for you. Please tell the audience where they can find out more information about Zeplyn.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more, you can visit us at our website, zeplyn.ai, or you can email us at sales@zeplyn.ai.
And where did you get the name Zeppelin from?
Well, Led Zeppelin is my favorite band.
All right. I was hoping that'd be the answer. Excellent. All right, Era, thanks so much for being here.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks, Greg.
Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. Number 1, CRM integration and data capture. CRM is now table stakes for AI assistants. Not surprising. According to Era, only 25% of client data actually even made it into CRMs before AI assistants. And with tools like Zeplyn, nearly 100% of meeting data is now captured in the CRM. This is going to improve meeting prep, compliance, and the ability, of course, to reference past discussions. And I would imagine it should increase client satisfaction, NPS scores, since clients will feel more heard and their advisors will know more about them and remember more about them, since it's going to be in the CRM automatically. 2, compliance and regulatory considerations are becoming more important. It's a key risk of inaccurate information making it into systems of record. Now, Zeplyn, according to Era, uses human-in-the-loop model. Advisors review AI-generated content before finalizing. This aligns with SEC recommendations that AI-generated content be human-reviewed. Now, we wrote an article you can check out about this called AI Note-Takers and Compliance in Wealth Management, What Firms Need to Know at wealthtechtoday.com. You should take a look at that article. 3, behavioral analytics and advisor coaching. I see this as a huge opportunity for these AI assistants and note takers to start doing more coaching and behavioral analytics, since they're recording every single meeting, even and looking at every single email, every single phone call. They can allow firms to benchmark their top performers and coach up other advisors into how to improve. Are advisors meeting with high-touch clients frequently enough? Are they talking too much in meetings, not listening enough? Are they asking the right questions? All these capabilities will be available to advisory firms basically for free. They're going to be built into these applications rather than buying separate applications standalone. I think they're going to see tremendous increases in advisor productivity. And finally, we have to talk about integration. Zeplyn has one of the highest scores, I think the top 20 or maybe the top 15 in the Ezra Group Wealth Tech Integration Score database of an 8.39. Zeplyn has customized integrations for different CRM setups, according to Era. They integrate with document management systems like SharePoint, and they are omni-channel. They work across video conferencing, phone systems, etc. And that's it. You've reached the end of another episode of Wealth Tech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. But before you go, please head to our website, ezragroup.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, and updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.